This film is interesting for multiple reasons. One, I enjoy some of the Safdie brothers movies, Good Time and Uncut Gems, namely, but now they've split off to each make their own movies, oddly enough, each make their own sports biopic that are coming out within a few months of each other. And first we have Benny Safdie with this. Also interesting because the star is Dwayne Johnson, and he's had an interesting career. I remember seeing Snitch in theaters and being pretty impressed with his performance, thinking that he was starting to separate himself as an actor from the Rock persona, from just being known as a wrestler. That was over a decade ago. And for a while, we really liked seeing him. People liked seeing him pop up in things like Fast and Furious. He was fun. He seemed like a likable, genuine guy. Then, stagnation. There's that image that always gets shared around of like 4 different movies where he looks exactly the same. He was really just playing the same person over and over again, and he started to feel less like a person. He himself started to feel like a corporate product. He was just trying to be safe and marketable, and it felt fake. And then with the hierarchy of power in the DC universe changing drastically, it changed. Red One, all the behind-the-scenes information that people were saying about his behavior, something finally made him realize, I should probably try acting. I guess Dave Bautista and John Cena lit a little bit of a fire under him too as they eclipsed him. But he seems to have finally decided that he needs to try to push himself and strive for more authenticity, strive for playing characters that are a little bit outside of his normal wheelhouse. So I wanted to see him take on a role like this and see how he would do and see if this would be the start of a new career trajectory for him. And I will say, this might be his best performance. It's certainly up there. He was really good here. He is playing the real-life man Mark Kerr, who was a UFC fighter, who I didn't know anything about. I had never heard of. I don't follow those sports in any way. And the film follows a 3-year period of his life that's kind of a low point for him. He's dealing with an addiction to pain meds, marital drama with his wife, his first loss in his career. And Dwayne Johnson's really good. The character is this massive fighter of a man, but he's also very articulate and polite. And some of that is, I don't want to say performative, like he's not actually a polite person, but there's a bit of a mask there where it's very difficult for him to express a lot of his feelings. He's not good at acknowledging when things are going bad or even acknowledging that they might. They specifically ask him in an interview at one point, what would you do if you lose? And he's like, I literally cannot even think about that. He won't let those thoughts in. He bottles it all up, which when the crash out inevitably comes, the longer you've bottled it up, the worse that's gonna be. And so even some of that politeness, the way he talks to people, you can tell he does want to seem friendly to people. He does want to treat people kindly, but that is also a little bit of a manipulative tactic where he can convince somebody to give him some extra pain meds that he's going to abuse by speaking in that way. And Dwayne Johnson pulls it off really well, where he's nailing this way of speaking that he has, where he seems genuine, but he also has that mask where he is repressing those negative feelings that do come out in major argument scenes with his wife a lot of the time. Him and Emily Blunt are really good together. She's great. You have a lot of actual fighters in the movie playing different characters, and so that was great. I couldn't tell. I didn't think anything seemed off about their performances. So they fit right in, and this is not nearly as chaotic as the Safdie brothers movies typically are. Chaos is like one word you can really use to describe most, if not all, of their films. But it still has a bit of that touch to the way it's shot. It feels pretty grounded and personal in how focused it is on Mark Kerr and the struggles that he's going through. And some of those struggles are interesting to watch. Like I said, he really tries to repress those negative thoughts. So things are going to get worse as the movie goes on. And just that tension and thinking about how bad it's going to be when it happens, and then watching his inevitable downward spiral is interesting. And I was mostly entertained by the movie, namely because of the performances, the direction. I think it's a solid biopic, but it is very much a standard biopic. So many of the issues that he's dealing with are the same thing that we have seen in so many other movies. It really feels like if somebody wants funding for a biopic at this point, the main question is, Was the person ever on drugs? They were? Great. Here's a few million, make the movie. Everyone in the history of every career, apparently, has had a drug problem, and we have to watch movie after movie after movie after movie about that. And it's like drug issue, marital strife, the highs and lows of the career. Yeah, man, I could have told you all that without even seeing the film. The marital strife, in particular, got pretty repetitive. Shouting match after shouting match. When I thought we had had the last one, that's like the climactic argument, and now they're good. Nope, there's another bigger shouting match later, and I'm like, oh my god. I thought we were done with that. It's a well-done movie, and I'm sure this is accurate to his life. But it's just exactly what you expect to see in any biopic. If you don't know anything about this man or about UFC, I don't feel like I really took anything away from this that I didn't have before. I didn't learn any important information about UFC or any of these fighting styles. I learned that this guy existed, and respect to him for all of the work that he put in, but I don't feel like there's something major. It's like, wow, I didn't know that this guy did all of this. Like, I now know that this guy had a drug problem and yelled at his wife a lot. And following him through his actual career and seeing if he can overcome his issues and kind of grow as a person, and as far as the sport is involved, that's the most interesting part, especially because of Johnson's performance. And I did overall find it enjoyable, but I don't know that I would revisit it because it is so samey to so many other stories. If I turn my head just a little bit, I can see several sports biopics next to me. I can see Moneyball, which is interesting for the different team building approach that he took. I can see The Iron Claw, which is interesting because it's depressing as fuck. These movies have selling points beyond just, this is a guy that existed. And kudos to him for all of the effort that he put in to his career and his passion. But I don't feel like there's anything that I gained from following his story that I wouldn't have seen from following so many people's stories that have also been made into movies. You could have at least made him a CGI monkey. That's a way to spice up a biopic, although not a way to make money at the box office, apparently. Justice for Better Man. So I recommend the film if you are interested in UFC or in Mark Kerr. This is, I assume, an accurate representation of this period of his life. Or if you want to see Dwayne Johnson give possibly his best performance, it's a well-done movie, especially if you're just a fan of biopics. But it's probably a one-time watch for me because it just doesn't really offer much new. It's solid, but hopefully this is just the first step of Dwayne Johnson turning his career around, and he will continue to take on roles like this and challenge himself in new ways. But if you've seen The Smashing Machine, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you agree or disagree with anything that I said, I want to talk to you about it down there. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more from me. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time.